Everyone, welcome to this series of Understanding Educational Research with me. In the episodes to come, I will walk you through some of the most established journals in the field of education and applied linguistics. For each publication, abstracts that paragraph that summarizes all of the key points of a research. So for each episode, I'll handpick 2 interesting pieces of abstracts and share my thought about them with you. Okay, are we ready for the first one of today? So the first one for today is from the Language and Education Journal, and as you can see from the title of the abstract, is Chinese students' perceptions of English learning affordances and their agency in an English medium instruction classroom context. Let's have a look at the context of the study. By the way, this study was published in 2019, and the context of the study usually lies in the first 1 or 2 sentences of the paragraph. So here it says, to promote English learning is an alleged benefit of implementing English medium instruction or EMI. However, English learning is supposed to occur incidentally in most EMI contexts. So, how exactly this process of language learning takes place, whether or not it's incidental or accidental, remains very much underexplored. So this research sort of starts to investigate this question, if that makes sense. And it starts with the premise that for incidental learning to happen, 2 conditions need to be met. The first one is the linguistic inputs are perceived by learners as affordances. And the second condition is that perceived opportunities for action are provided by the environment, and also the learners are exercising their agency to engage with these affordances and learning environments. In other words, affordances and learners exercising their agency to engage with the opportunity to develop their language skills are like the 2 necessary conditions for this incidental learning to happen. Okay, so what are the aims of this research? We might already have like a rough idea about it. So let's have a look at, the aim of the study. So the aim of the study, it seems to me, is to investigate the students' perceptions of EMI classroom activities and teachers' instructional language use and how their agency is manifested. Okay, so the manifestation of their agency and the meditating factors. Okay, so and what about the methods that they use? So it seems to me that they use a mixed method design, in a sense that data were collected through classroom observation, questionnaire, and interviews over a period of 2 months. So now we're keen to find out about what they found. Okay, so the findings show that activities that require students' active engagement prove to be affordances perceived more positively, and the manifestation and development of English learning agency was varied and personalized, mediated by both contextual and individual factors, and the implications are also discussed. So here it seems that activities that require students' active engagement prove to be affordances, and the amount of learning or gains or loss very much depend on individual circumstances, like how much motivated are the students, how advanced or proficient in English have that students already been. So these are the contextual and individual factors that might have been mentioned here. The implications here, to me, it seems that to do a lot with the pedagogical planning, the classroom activities in class. So they're designed in a way that students perceive them as affordances. So now it sort of like opens a new gate to agency research into EMI. So yeah, very interesting to me, to be honest. Abstract 1. Okay, so move on to abstract 2. Abstract 2 is from Journal of Education for Business, and the abstract 2 is investigating self-beliefs and success for EMI learners studying finance. Okay, and this one was quite recently published. So the context of this abstract is in Japan, I believe. Okay, let's have a look. Yes, at a university in Japan. And again, the theme of internationalization very much comes up. Often students come to EMI program from different and diverse backgrounds, depending on their prior experiences, their language proficiency, their academic knowledge, right? So these factors, so you can see again, this is internationalization, different experiences and backgrounds, and these variations in terms of student background raises the questions over the impacts of these factors have on the student's ability to succeed. And the aims of the study effectively look at how different dependable variables or exploratory variables could explain student sort of probability to succeed. I guess that the outcome variable here is student success, in a sense that it can be measured by student GPA or student exam performance throughout the course. So that's my speculation. Okay, so factors of consideration include student language, English language proficiency, mathematic ability, English self-efficacy, mathematical self-efficacy, experiences overseas, and gender. Okay, so there are lots of like factors of consideration here for the sort of the input or the dependent variables. So sorry, excuse me. So in terms of methods, I think that they didn't really mention here, but they use a quantitative questionnaire on 87 students and follow-up interviews. So it's essentially a mixed method design again, with so data were collected over students' English proficiency, like TOEIC scores, or mathematic ability in terms of their scores for math tests, and they used regression analysis to determine the relationship among variables. So they didn't say here, but it was mentioned in the article if you read in more details. So in terms of findings, again, I'm surprised that they not mentioned here, but in the conclusions part of the full length paper, it shows that the mathematical ability is a strong predictor for success, and this is the same as the language proficiency. An interview also suggested that studying finance in EMI was challenging for students who didn't have international experience beforehand, and also gender surprisingly predicted strongly the success rate for EMI, with female relatively outperform male counterparts in finance EMI courses. Okay, so my thoughts on this, these are like very interesting findings, of course, but we should interpret this conclusion with utmost caution, because with statistical regression analysis to determine the relationship among so many variables that we see, the sample needs to be the sample size needs to meet a certain number. Here very small sample size of only 87 really downgraded the side effects and validity of the findings, and it sort of lacks the statistical predictive power, and lots of steps needed to be undertaken to make sure that the math tests were designed to fit the research purpose. Okay, so let's move on to the keyword for today. So for today we have the keyword is student agency. So student agency basically is a broad concept that refers to how much autonomy learners are given to take initiative in directing and also leading their own learning. Okay, so examples of student agency can be seen in self-regulated learning strategies. So students basically come up with their own ideas of how they want to move forward with their learning. Okay, so they may find that lectures in classroom boring and difficult to follow, so they take charge of their own learning and they go outside, maybe they go to the library, do some independent learning, or they go online and search for materials that can help them to understand the lecture content. So students basically make decisions about their learning goals and the process. So it's really closely related to the concept of student self-efficacy, because unless students are confident, unless students are autonomous over their learning, that they can, decide to take the next decisions or the next steps for their own, development, if that makes sense. So this is in sharp contrast with the banking model of knowledge, in which students only passively receive knowledge transmission from teachers. The two abstracts show that how student agency manifests itself in EMI classroom, and if it plays any role in steering student success, and the answer is yes. All right. So the abstract shows learning opportunities are abundant for students to exercise their agency to turn them into students' advantage. And the abstract 2 shows that if students hold high self-efficacy beliefs about themselves, about their language proficiency and math proficiency, it will likely yield them more success in EMI class. Okay, so I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time. Bye!